Good evening, everybody. This is a second episode of BookSight, where I read every day couple pages of artificial intelligence and data monetization books, the books about these topics. Currently, I'm reading a book, Power and Prediction, and in this second episode, I'm going to spend a little bit of time reading two sections of the book and then give a little bit of the comments and share a little bit of the talking with you. So the section it's titled The System Solution Entrepreneur. Throughout the entire Industrial Revolution, factories were designed to leverage steam. As we have seen, a single source of power into the factory was distributed to individual machines through a central shaft, upon which belts and pulleys were hung. To modern eyes, this was one big machine with individual people inside as mere cogs. In its large form, it was a contraption where hundreds of moving parts were tied to a single entry point for power. Having a new type of power didn't change that, but having the new devices caused some entrepreneurs to rethink the factory. Suppose there were no central shafts or even shafts dedicated to a group of machines. What would a factory look like if you design it from scratch? Given what you now knew about electricity. Factories were built so that the machines were close to the source of power. That meant there were advantages to a vertical design and multi-story shop floors. The cramped multi-floor factories of the late 1800s had their own cost in terms of work, conditions, safety, and machine performance. Electricity removed the need to squish all this stuff into small spaces. More entrepreneurial managers realized that the true value of electricity would come from providing a system solution. Specifically, a system that could take advantage of all electricity had to offer. By system, we mean a set of procedures that together ensure something is done. Just think of the economics of space within a factory. With steam and its central shaft, space near the shaft was more valuable than space elsewhere. So work was done near the shaft, and anything else was stored and moved away. That meant real stuff was moved back and forth according to the demands of power. Electricity equalized the economic value of space, providing flexibility. Now it was worth organizing production on, say, a line so that you reduce the mileage incurred in moving real stuff back and forth, and instead from one process to the next. Henry Ford could not have invented the production line for the Model T car with steam power. Only electricity, decades after its commercial promise was shown, could achieve that. Yes, Ford was a car entrepreneur, but he was largely a system solution entrepreneur. These systems changes altered the industrial landscape. Only then did electrification finally show up in the productivity statistics and in a big way. To those of you that started listening to my BookSight series from episode 2, I would like to recall what was in episode 1. In episode 1, I was reading about steam factories when there was a lot of inefficiencies and there was a lot of leakage. So when the electricity showed up, it removes a lot of costs, a lot of waste. Today, we're talking about system entrepreneurship, which means that, and it's very fascinating, that electricity, when it showed up, it didn't only change the cut costing part of the business, but it changed how the factory was designed. We had a single, we have a central shaft that all the other parts were connected to, and that shaft was run by a steam pressure. When the electricity showed up, they removed the steam and they connected to electric motor, but the shaft was still central. Now we're talking about decentralizing the factory. So with electricity everywhere, they didn't have to have a central shaft. The machines can be spread out across the space of the factory. I found it very fascinating because nowadays when we look at artificial intelligence, we think that a lot of jobs will disappear. I don't agree with that. And I don't really think the letters and everything that people are trying to write about artificial intelligence and the threat it will bring, I don't really believe in that. I don't believe in that because artificial intelligence will not take jobs away, but it will redesign the way we work. Like in a steam factory, everything was centralized, and with electricity, everything was decentralized. People got more flexibility and the factories can utilize the equipment better way. With artificial intelligence, we're experiencing the same way. Imagine the New York Street, imagine the Wall Street Journal or any other press, digital press, it's now centralized. You buy a subscription, you log in and you use it. Imagine when it will be decentralized. Like for instance, individual reporters and writers and investigators will have like a micro blogs that all of them will be decentralized, but together they will create a new type of newspaper. Or imagine that car dealership that will disappear as a building, but there will be hundreds of cars somewhere in a parking lot, and a lot of individual sales guys will connect on a platform and they will just start selling them independently. That's what I think will happen if we use the steam electricity factory analogy. I'm wondering what you guys think about it. Stay tuned, please comment, share comments. I want to listen, I want to read them. And I'm wondering if we can have a conversation over here. I would love to. Have a great day. Good night.